You're watching UATV News. My name is Inna Kosinska. Good evening. The European Court of Human Rights made the first decision in the Ukraine-Russia case. It declared admissible Kyiv's complaint about human rights violations in the occupied Crimea. This was announced by the Deputy Minister of Justice of Ukraine. According to him, the court found the version of the Ukrainian government consistent and supported by sufficient arguments to prove that the Russian troops weren't just observers during the so-called referendum in 2014, but took an active part in the occupation of Peninsula.
While taking the decision, the court in particular took into consideration the significant increase of the Russian military presence in Crimea from January to March 2014. This was done without the consent of the Ukrainian authorities or any evidence of the existence of a threat to Russian troops stationed there under the relevant bilateral agreements at that time.
Donald Trump is the first president in U.S. history to be impeached twice. The House of Representatives in the U.S. Congress voted for it, but the procedure is not over yet. Could Donald Trump resign or be ousted in a week before his presidency ends? Our journalists found out.
The impeachment resolution concerning the U.S. President Donald Trump was supported by 232 representatives. After the vote, Speaker of the House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi signed it. The resolution contains only the article of accusation, the incitement to riots on the Capitol on January 6.
Today, in a bipartisan way, the House demonstrated that no one is above the law, not even the President of the United States. That Donald Trump is a clear and present danger to our country, and that once again, we honored our oath of office to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. So help us God. And now, I sadly, and with a heart broken over what this means to our country, of a president who would incite insurrection, will sign the engrossment of the article of impeachment.
Right after the approval of the resolution, Donald Trump recorded a video message. He condemned the violence publicly, but didn't say a word about the impeachment.
I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement. Making America great again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for.
Most Republicans were defending Donald Trump.
This is a reckless impeachment. This will only bring up the hate and fire more than ever before. Have a conscience. Put the people before politics.
Gentleman's time's expired. Gentleman from Oklahoma.
However, 10 Republicans still decided to impeach the incumbent head of state.
The president took an oath to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Last week, there was a domestic threat at the door of the Capitol, and he did nothing to stop it. That is why, with a heavy heart and clear resolve, I will vote yes on these articles of impeachment.
Now the decision is up to the Senate. The majority leader in the upper house said that senators would not interrupt their vacation and they will gather no earlier than January 19. Democrats are asking to do it immediately.
I've asked him to call the Senate back. All he needs is my agreement. I'm still minority leader, and his agreement. He's majority leader. And we could come back ASAP and vote to convict Donald Trump and get him out of office now, before any further damage is done.
Otherwise, Donald Trump's term ends on January 20, when President-elect Joe Biden takes his oath. If the procedure is completed, then Donald Trump will become the first U.S. president to be impeached twice. Reported by Nick Starkov, Roman Smoler, UATV News.
Alexei Navalny runs the risk of going to jail after he returns to Russia. Today, Moscow's prison service recalled that the Russian opposition politician appears in 2 criminal cases and is on the wanted list. Navalny has been recovering in Germany since he was allegedly targeted in August with a Novichok poison. Yesterday, he said he will return to Russia this Sunday despite threats.
Опасность, скажем так,
If Navalny returns, the dangerous threats lie not only in possible attempts of authorities to arrest him or somehow engage in criminal liability, but also in new poisoning attempts. Navalny is guided not so much by the promises of his safety, but the political expediency. He makes no secret of his presidential ambitions, and he is aware that if he is effectively doing the Russian authorities' bidding and stays abroad, he will most probably fail with his prospects.
Ukraine is getting ready to start vaccination campaign. In December, the Ministry of Health has signed a contract with the Chinese company Sinovac Biotech on the supply of almost 2 million doses of anti-COVID vaccine. Besides, there are also a plan B in case the Chinese drug turns out to be less effective than expected. Details next.
The first batch of Chinese Sinovac vaccines will arrive to Ukraine at the end of February. The delay is related to the peculiarities of the drug registration procedure, Minister of Health of Ukraine said. Those who are at risk will be the first to get inoculated. At the first stage, we plan to vaccinate 355,000 people. All of them are among the most vulnerable Ukrainians, namely medical workers in hospitals providing care for patients with COVID-19, the military who are in the area of joint forces operation, as well as citizens in specialized institutions such as retirement centers, etc. Another 8 million doses of the vaccine are planned to be received within the frameworks of the COVAX global initiative. Deliveries should begin at the end of the first and at the beginning of the second quarter of 2021. We are now preparing to sign documents with other global manufacturing companies. Due to the fact that we have non-disclosure agreements with everyone, I simply do not have the right to name them while negotiations continue. And we have never negotiated, we have never intended to negotiate, and we do not even consider the supply of Russian vaccines to the Ukrainian market. In addition to 1.9 million doses ordered by the Minister of Health, the home manufacturer of medicines, like him, has also agreed on the supply of 5 million doses of Chinese Sinovac vaccine to Ukraine. The price of a dose is about $18. All have a single price, that is $18. Moreover, it can be even less because the sale is in hryvnia. If the dollar rate remains stable, the price will be lower. Meanwhile, everyone is expecting registration of the Chinese drug. In the case its efficiency is below 70%, the contract that the Ministry of Health signed foresees the return of the money Ukraine paid Chinese manufacturers to procure the vaccine. Reported by Nick Starkov, Valery Bakus, UATV News.
Real winter has come to Ukraine. In 4 regions, heavy snowfalls, blizzards and ice on the roads are observed. Rescuers warn about the yellow level of danger. Severe frosts are expected as well. My colleagues know more.
Whiteout, gusty winds and snow dunes. Kharkiv citizens wake up as heavy snowfall covers eastern Ukrainian region. The daily accumulation of snow in spots amounted to 6 inches. If possible, car owners are asked to stay home. When it comes about open areas such as lands for agricultural use, lands under crop, wind gusts there are specifically significant, up to 25 meters per second, so I urge drivers to be cautious. Police patrols carry out roadway watches. More than 20 special areas are specifically organized for cars and trucks to wait out the snowstorm. Morning roads were not clean at all. It was impossible to drive. Snow and traffic jams were everywhere. It was impossible to move at all because nobody cleaned roadways. Now it's improved, but the main job is done by cars. 100 of graders and over 1,000 utility workers are engaged in road cleanup action in Kharkiv city. Street cleaners also got additional workload. There have been not a single snowfall for 3 years. Of course, I love it. I love winter and I missed it. At least this year some snow has fallen. Whiteout have also come to the central Ukrainian Dnipro region. Half-meter snow dunes occupied the left bank of the city. Paramedics with a pregnant woman on board got stuck in snowdrift halfway to the hospital. With the help of the tow rope, we pulled the vehicle out of the drift. It took something around 20 minutes and the woman was timely delivered to the unit. A bus turned over in the halfway near Mariupol, Donetsk region due to snow shower and icing. With 5 passengers inside, miraculously, none of them hurt. Using rescue crane and firefighting water tender, we removed the passenger bus from the ditch and transported it to the side of the road in order not to get in the way of other vehicles. Since the early morning, utility workers in Donetsk region have worked hard. Roads, sidewalks and bus stops are sprinkled with a special mixture. In Mariupol alone, more than 50 cars and 200 people are engaged for this purpose. Reported by Nick Starkov, Natalia Belokudrya, Natalia Gusak, Nadia Sukharokova, UATV News.
Newborns in the new year. Cameroon sheep were born at the Odesa Zoo. 2 cubs are girls. Now they're under the supervision of parents and zoo workers. These sheep are very friendly. After the little ones get stronger, they would be transferred to the rural yard. There, visitors will be able to feed and pet them. In the meantime, the zoo is closed to the public until the end of January.
Those animals are absolutely adorable. They are very kind to people, including kids. They are born and they are friendly just immediately.
That's all for this hour. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. Thank you for staying with UATV channel. Goodbye.